What do you mean?
The stuff that we're going to be talking about today is kind of funny. The way that you've worded some things, it's just funny. I thought the
Oh,
notes were funny.
now I'm scared. What did I write in here? I may have been drunk when I took notes.
Don't overthink things. Just go.
Welcome, campers, to another episode of the Campfire Gaming Podcast. My name is Mike. I will be the host for tonight because Matt didn't want to do it. Jerk. No, just kidding. With me, as usual, I've got Rich, I've got Chris, and I've got Matt. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Pretty good.
He says.
I'm excited to talk about whatever I wrote in my notes here.
So today's show, we got a bunch of random, a little bit of awesome, and a little bit of really, guys. Really? I think that's going to be kind of the theme for the episode. Check us out, per usual, our website, campfiregamingpodcast.com, over on Twitter at campgamepod, our Instagram at Campfire Gaming Podcast. You can find all of those links, including our Discord, at our website, again, campfiregamingpodcast.com. Check it out, join the conversation, become one of our campers. We'd love it. You can do things like chat with us, play games with us, as well as offer suggestions for our book club game, which is actually coming up really soon for us to go through the next one.
Polls are open.
I believe. No, I meant like the actual episode.
Oh,
not just the spooky game, but we'll get into that in a second. We do have a book club episode coming up, I think, next week. So after this episode, it should be a book club. You will hear us talk about Bastion. After that, who knows what's next, because it's sitting in our Discord as a poll. Please go vote. Join the conversation if you'd like to see us play one of several games optioned. It's going to be scary.
Hopefully.
That's what I'm hoping for. I want to play a spooky game.
Spooky. I
was watching some of the gameplay from a dude I know for Little Nightmares. That game is creepy as hell. So I'm kind of hoping for that one, but we'll see. Not to throw my vote or judgment in there of, hey, go pick this one.
You're allowed to bribe.
Yeah, Matt's already doing it, so I'm just gonna say pick Resident Evil or I Riot.
Yeah.
Village does look pretty good too. Like I really do want to play it.
Me too.
Yeah, what is the other one? We have
The Medium.
Yeah. The Medium.
Really? People picked that one? That doesn't look spooky.
That was, I mean, that was apparently all of our pick.
I didn't pick it.
I didn't pick that.
Someone did. I don't know.
The Grande.
I don't have access to Slack on my iPad anymore. It doesn't work.
If you're really old, it's the Biggie.
I'm guessing it was you guys and Dan. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there's another 4 votes.
I had 4 votes. We only had 3 games with 4 votes, and that's what our poll is now. The Medium, Resident Evil Village, and Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares.
I'm just guessing Chris made another account to go click on it.
Probably.
According to this, it's Dan, myself, Matt, and Rich.
Oh, okay. I rescind my vote just to prove you wrong.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's
all
just go in and do it now. We can readjust the polls. Matt's going to lead us through a quick fire of some general knowledge that has happened recently. Again, this is just some really quick random things that have popped up over the last week or two that we're going to throw at you. Not a lot to talk about. Not a lot of information yet, those kinds of things. So, Matt, take it away with your quick fire.
Quick fire. All right.
What are we going to call it? Like a flash fire?
Flash.
Ooh.
Flash.
Does that have to do with camping?
Forest fire? No, sorry, California.
It burns quick like kindling.
California.
Kindling. I know. That's what we used to call it. We used to call it kindling, but that wasn't as fast, right? Like this is kind of like kerosene. We're just kerosening it.
Kerosene.
Kerosene.
The fuel. Anyways, so last week we talked a little bit about the announced KOTOR remake. In the past week, there was a little bit of news. Actually, it was the day after we recorded, which is how this always happens. It did come out from Tully Ackland, senior game designer on the remake, that yes, it's a full remake and it is a timed exclusive to PS5 and PC, which means it will be coming to Xbox just we don't know when. So we finally have confirmation on that. That's exciting for Xbox.
That's super good to hear that it's not
Yeah.
just locked into PlayStation.
And
Yeah.
PC.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Considering
Which
it
you
originally launched on the original OG Xbox exclusively.
nobody plays PC, Rich. I'm kidding. I
This
don't
was
even have an Xbox
expected-
anymore. It's going to be on PC.
When did the
This was
original KOTOR come out on PC?
2000.
That was a PC game too.
No,
2020.
I don't remember anymore. It's been. I mean, the original came out in 2003, so I struggle to remember PC.
but it didn't come out on PC till a few years later, I think. But anyways, it's a timed exclusive, so it will be on Xbox and maybe Switch and maybe Ouya at some point. Who knows?
If it's a full remake, it's not coming to the Switch. That's going to be too much. I don't think it'll
November
run.
of that year, July for the Xbox.
Aspire has done a lot of ports to various games to various platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess if they can run The Witcher, they can probably run something like this. Depends on what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Some kind of bad news, but luckily not too bad. Battlefield 2042 has been delayed roughly a month. This is the fun notes. I've already blew my joke. Sorry. I wrote that it's now coming in 2042, but actually it's coming November 19th, 2021. Yeah, fun little joke I put in there and I ruined my own joke. Anyways, it's been delayed roughly I think about 4 weeks, roughly a month. So November 19th now. There is an open beta coming, or there's an update on the open beta coming later this month. So we'll find out when that actually is. So
Do you think they're doing that to crush like Halo? To be like, boom, it's here.
That's like 3 weeks before Halo comes out.
Yeah, but that's like 3 weeks of solid. People are going to get into it and not want to pick up Halo.
All the Zoomers will get bored by then.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
No, my thought was like, if I really wanted to put my tinfoil hat on, I feel like now that we've kind of proven that delays are, for the most part, acceptable, given that they're a short enough time frame, that like companies could make deals with each other to like pay each other to delay each other's games now, because they're just like, like it won't get that big of a deal, and most people are really supportive of delays. So it's like, yeah, we'll pay you a couple $1 million. You just push it back a couple weeks. We don't want it to cross over Call of Duty Vanguard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if it means they can shore up their servers a lot better than they have in the past for launch week, I'm okay with it.
I feel it's probably some last minute polish or bugs or
Sure it
something like
is.
that. So, but yeah, so look for the open beta news coming soon because it's near the end of the month now. I liked this update earlier in the week. Splitgate is getting Forge mode,
This is pretty funny.
and it's getting it before, most likely before Halo Infinite gets its Forge mode. So the makers, I should have wrote. I always forget the who's the
1047.
There you go. So KFC Gaming Twitter account tweeted saying trigger an entire gaming fan base with one sentence, and Splitgate came back saying Splitgate will have Forge mode before Halo Infinite. So they're kind of just slam dunking on Halo there. Fun and games. They were just saying, sorry, they're not trying to piss people off, but again,
It's
some fun
hilarious
there.
is what it was.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I laughed my ass off. It was hilarious. But it won't actually be called Forge mode. It'll probably just be like Splitgate map editor or something. I don't know.
Map Forge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Forgery. I don't know.
Ooh, a Forge.
Another little update from last week. We talked about that big NVIDIA data mine that happened and all those rumored games and, whether it's real or not. It was a good time. Halo 5 PC was on there. Community manager Brian Gerard, again, it was like the next day after recording, came out and said, hey, we can confirm there's no plans of doing Halo 5 right now. Not saying it won't happen sometime in the future, but they're probably focused on trying to make sure they have a working game on December 8th with Halo Infinity. So yeah, never say never, but we'll see what happens. Some good news for Mike, right? Bluetooth.
I don't even have I have nothing for this.
Nope. I think this has been asked for like 4 years now. if I remember correctly. But the Switch now has the ability to connect to Bluetooth devices. So headphones, what is it? The speaker bars or whatever, fun stuff like that. So good for you guys.
I don't use Bluetooth audio anything. Like I like to plug it in because I don't want to deal with charging.
I'll be sure to
So-
connect it to my car when I'm driving.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Pairing Nintendo Switch.
I imagine a lot of people with wireless headphones really wanted this. Because if you're mobile gaming, and you don't want the wires like you do, Mike. They got their what is it, AirPods, earbuds, whatever. They just wanna-
AirPods.
yeah,
Okay, boomer.
Airbuds. That was a good movie, I think. I don't know.
Aren't they all Beats by Dre?
Beats by Dre.
Air Beats. They're all Beats.
Air
all of them.
Beats. Last little bit on our not so quick fire section is Tokyo Game Show. It's coming on later this year, later this month. Coming September 30th is when it's going to start, and then Microsoft is going to have an event there. So we're probably going to hear about a bunch of games we've already heard about. They are trying to set expectations by saying there's not going to be any new global debuts, like no new big announcements. So I guess the only hope I have for that is we might actually see Halo.
No.
I'm already pressing X to doubt, but who knows?
We are gonna get another hour of Forza.
Oh God, like
This is the coolest
and
multiplayer
flight
ever.
simulator updates.
Hey,
Those
Jeff,
games look great.
jump
Not
off
knocking
that
on 'em.
ramp. Cool, dude, bro. I jumped off the ramp. Did you see that 360 I did with my car? Ooh, look at all the ray tracing. That's pretty much what it was.
They
Well,
look
Matt
like
will be
great
happy.
games,
It's
but
got
yeah.
ray tracing.
Whoop whoop.
Guys, knock on it. Come over to my house. I'll show you with my TV some cool 4K HDR ray tracing.
I've
It's
played
fantastic.
Minecraft with ray tracing. I know what that looks like.
Yeah. Do you have a 4K TV, Chris, for your PS5?
And for my Series X, both consoles.
Yeah. If Resident Evil Village is picked for next month's book club game, you're gonna have to play it on PS5 so you can get all the
I've already ordered it.
nice. Cool.
It's almost like it's just gonna happen now.
I'm gonna play it one way or another. It doesn't really matter to me.
I'm gonna play Resident Evil next month too, but not Village. I'm gonna play Resident Evil.
The first one?
Yeah.
Going back.
Good.
The remaster or whatever, right? So I told myself, I was like, let's finally do this. I thought I was going to double up with Resident Evil, but so far everybody's accepted my bribes, so probably won't be playing Village next month. Just throwing that out there.
Another note, the Tokyo Game Show, it will be missing Nintendo. So Hometown Heroes are not going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. They've already said, nope, we won't be there, which is one of the things that sparked the rumors of the Direct coming soon. Just an extra caveat, another controller type has been spotted to have a what the heck is that called? Not a copyright, but a patent. A new controller patent goes live on the 24th, so people are assuming that that is going to be the next Direct, and they'll be slightly ahead of the Tokyo Game Show.
24th?
Yep.
What's that? Friday? Saturday?
Something like that.
Exciting.
It's a Friday, so I'm assuming, and we'll get it Thursday because they don't like to do Friday Directs.
Nice. Heard it here, folks. Well, I guess by the time they hear it, it'll be past the 24th. So
Yeah, most likely. That's true.
awesome. And that's our quick fire update.
Pew pew pew. Next up, we're going to talk about some rumors that are floating around the gaming sphere. Is that how you would say the gaming atmosphere, or like the realm in which we game, the gamosphere, the video sphere?
Gamelandia.
Ooh, Gamelandia. Welcome to Gamelandia, and here are the rumors. Microsoft is up to something. We're not really sure what, but the rumor is it's going to be big. It's going to be big. very big, like Matt, is going to be super excited because it's supposed to be so big that it'll rival their previous purchase with Bethesda. Any guesses?
Yeah, this rumored acquisition. I don't know. When did we talk about this? We talked about this recently, not on the podcast though. Again, it was like a day or two after we recorded. I think it was a day or two after we recorded. Again, all this news from, anyways,
right after recordings.
It's been heavily rumored for a while to be, or Sega was going to be acquired by Microsoft, but this is this rumor is apparently so big, like it's going to have lawyers debating monopoly laws. Here is what we have quoted. So it makes me think it's going to be somebody that's a little bit, not that Sega's not doing good or they're not a great company, but like what's going to piss people off more or, cause a bigger splash. So
I get the feeling it's going to be something like EA. Like, look at all the partnerships that have been happening lately with them. They've been moving their services to like Game Pass, tons of their games. The Game Pass now works with the EA Play or whatever it is. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that's the route it goes.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see how satisfied EA is with that partnership and putting everything on Game Pass. Because I mean, if that is really profitable for them, I could see people like Ubisoft or people who have their own platforms jumping on board this too.
Mm-hmm. I won't lie, I was super paranoid during the THQ Nordic presentation that they were going to announce it during that, and I was going to be like, oh, this is not good.
I think THQ Nordic could bring some cool games
to
the system, like old school games, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know that would trigger monopoly conversations.
That's it'd have to be big, and not knocking on THQ Nordic, but I mean, we have none of their news in here because that event was
we have two
uneventful.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best event, but you've got games like Darksiders, like Genesis is actually a lot of fun, the twin stick shooter. It's on Game
Would that
Pass.
really trigger lawyers to get their butt clenched over monopoly rules though?
I don't think so.
Clearly.
I'm gonna say plot twist, Valve.
That will.
I didn't think about that
trigger
one.
Antitrust.
That would trigger some massive monopoly ruling right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Lord Gaben would do that?
Lord Gaben is getting very old.
Well, and
he's getting to the point where he cares about
stuff.
Yeah, he cares a lot about the hardware stuff. I don't know if he necessarily cares about actually developing games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's also worth $4 billion. I think he's willing to step away from it and be like, yeah.
Well, he's spent
live life
most of the last year and a half in New Zealand, hasn't he? Or hasn't been in the U.S.
Right.
Maybe he's enjoying his time.
Isn't he
And I thought there was a reason there was a couple of reasons that he was in New Zealand too, because wasn't it that there was something Microsoft going on at the time that he moved down to New Zealand? Yeah.
You might be
Which
right.
kind of originally triggered some sort of there's probably going to be a relationship there. They've been bringing all of the Microsoft games into Steam. They're playing ball with each other.
Fun fact, Gabe Newell worked at Microsoft.
He did.
That's why I find it surprising because he left. It's been a while since I read about this, but he was unhappy. I think he worked on Windows, the OS.
And he's been
and then he was unhappy with some stuff. Yeah, and he's been very critical of it in the past, and he left to make Valve and only 2 Half-Life games.
But I mean, Microsoft as a company has changed quite dramatically since he's worked there. So I don't know. Maybe that changes feelings a little bit. Maybe working with Phil Spencer has kind of changed his mind.
Yeah.
That is my working. That's going to be my long shot there. That's from all the way downtown.
Yeah. I'll throw another one out there, but to start, when I first heard these rumors and before I read the whole lawyers debating monopoly stuff, my brain went to Sega. The other two were 2K and Ubisoft, which were some of the other ones. And then when I read about monopoly, my brain went to Sony, not the whole company, but their gaming division.
Yeah.
That would be my little downtown shot like Valve, but I feel like Valve would make more sense with their push into PC.
Mm-hmm. For Sony to spin off one division, it would be complicated because they tend to intertwine all their divisions together in some way, shape, or form.
It makes a lot of money for them. I don't know why they would want to part with it. If I really wanted to get really weird, it'd be like Activision is now selling off Blizzard to Microsoft or something like that, but I don't think that would happen. At least not yet.
That would be, a guess before I read this whole monopoly stuff.
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
the only
me
thing
think
I can
it's
think of is
something like Sony, Valve. Not saying it couldn't happen, but they were previously laughed out of the offices. But Nintendo, whenever they tried to buy Nintendo years ago,
Nintendo won't do it.
Right.
Just to add some more to Rich's tinfoil hat here, there's been interviews with Gabe about what his plans are for New Zealand, and he's actually looking at a permanent residency there, and is not looking to move Valve to New Zealand.
Nope.
So,
yeah, I think he's setting up to retire. It would be that, or I mean, I suppose Epic could be in the cards too, but that would be if well,
I don't think Tencent lets him go.
I think they would, because I think Tencent also partners with Microsoft.
I think Sweeney wants to just keep his baby and grow his baby and be angry, which we'll get into more about that later.
Like, you don't think that they got like super buddy over the thing that we're going to be talking about later in this episode?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think that it's not really that big of a thing for Microsoft. Just my thoughts.
Them being acquired as a studio, or
no, the latter stuff for today's episode. I just don't think that's too huge for Microsoft in comparison to buying something like Valve. Like, for me, business sense, Epic has kind of played the bully, kind of played the jerk, kind of played the, you can only play our games here kind of thing. They don't have the greatest perspective from like a player base. That's just what I've seen over the last year, right? So why would Microsoft pick them up? Why would Microsoft take that in when it's already got negative press behind it? It's just
probably because they have a $1 franchise known as Fortnite, and that's exactly what Microsoft would do. They picked up Mojang exactly for that reason.
Yeah,
for one game.
Yeah, but Mojang was a lot smaller than Epic.
This is true.
Epic is ginormous in comparison.
This is true. But what does Epic need right now?
Money.
They need a distribution platform because nobody's really buying into the Epic Game Store, which is why that they're doing all this stuff for the, with the timed exclusives and all this sort of stuff. Like, really what they kind of need is a place, if they really want to disrupt the market and sell their stuff exclusively, then you would think that they would buy into it and then get situated on Game Pass and all that, and
it would explain.
I feel like it would make sense too.
It would explain why it's been so quiet, because the legal issues have to be resolved before a purchase like that Microsoft would want to make a purchase like that.
It could be.
They'd have to hammer out the details, but not everything legal has to be finalized, because you're gonna have like Congress look into it and be like, "Is this a?"
They'll let them pay their fines first, and then they will acquire them. When they're like,
Well, that's the other thing is they're, if they already have troubles with distribution, why pick them up right now when they're at the height? Maybe pick them up later if you're going to.
Like I said, it's the franchises that they have.
It's sure, but I mean, you've got things like with EA, you've got like Apex Legends, right? So that would be something they could still jump on. It's maybe not as big as Fortnite, but it's still pretty large. Like, you still have a lot of people playing it. I just feel like everything other than Epic makes sense, just because of the, it's Fortnite. That's one game versus everything else.
I just don't think Fork Fight's gonna cause some monopoly crap. Like,
this would have to do with their store.
Yeah,
like integrating all of that stuff of the Epic Game Store on top of Game Pass, on top of infiltrating lots of games from that into Steam and things like that.
And it could be people misread what the lawyers were there for. It could be the lawyers trying to discuss, like, okay, how is this thing going with Apple? What is our place in this? What does this all look like? and people construed that to be antitrust monopoly conversations.
Yeah.
I'm double checking valuation.
I could see it going either way. Yeah, I could really see it going either Valve or Epic to be like that. Like that's the only thing that I can think of that would be that big that would cause like lots and lots of lawyers to get involved and people to be like, whoa, like is there like some antitrust monopoly stuff going on? Or when you have a giant distributor working with a giant distributor, it feels like that would turn a few heads.
Yeah, Epic still just doesn't feel right. Like Valve makes more sense for Microsoft to go after them.
And maybe, but Epic's already had a good working relationship with Microsoft for a very long time. I mean, even, going way, way back.
Epic is also like 3 times the cost of something like Bethesda or even Valve. So if it's supposed
That's why
to be
it's a big acquisition.
Yeah. Right, but if it's supposed to be at the same level as like Bethesda,
well, and it would make it still cheaper than EA. EA is currently valued at like 37 billion. Epic's right around 29 billion.
How much is Valve, did we say?
Oh,
10.
I haven't looked up Valve.
Valve has got to be more than...
Yeah, Valve is also not public, though.
Well, yeah, this is all based off their... Yeah. I'll see if I can find something.
2019 reports it being 10 billion.
Yeah, that's what I just found, too.
And they're not super productive, like, other than Steam and things like that. What's the last really big Valve game?
Half-Life
Alyx.
Right, and that's a VR game, so it's not as big selling. Great from everything I've heard from you guys, but it's just not
awesome.
Everybody can't just jump in and play it. So
Valve I like that you mentioned that, brought that up. Valve to me just makes the most sense out of all the ones we've talked about. Distribution platform gets them in the PC.
Virtual reality.
Gets them in the VR.
Yeah, plays into the
HoloLens
and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Could
you imagine if Xbox is like, we have Half-Life 3?
That would be cool.
That is a huge.
So
it's going to be Half-Life 4.
I assume part of that negotiation would be they're not allowed to do that. Sorry, 3 is not going to be attached to a Valve.
You can do a 4. You can do a 3.1.
You can bypass it. You know what? You can just call it Half-Life or the Half-Life or whatever.
Hey, if we're really lucky, they'll hand off Half-Life to 343 Industries, and then they're going to take very good care of it. And they're going to make 3 more Half-Lives for us.
We're
gonna have another. Have another. Look how they massacred my boy. Episode.
They'd have Source Engine. Geez, Microsoft owning. Obviously their internal stuff that some of their studios have, like the Forza team with I don't know the name of their engine. Obviously, Slip Space could be good. We'll find out in a few months. But with buying Bethesda, they have id Tech, and then if they bought Valve, they'd have Source. Like, that's really cool, especially for if they continue to fund those studios with those engines. That gives all their smaller teams and smaller studios a lot of options and internal resources to be like, oh, I'm a small studio, I want to make this game. They're like, well, we have Slip Space, we have id Tech, and we have Source. Well, what do you want to use?
Like I said, likewise with that, they could be, snatching up the most popular indie game development engine on the market, and they could just snatch up Unreal Engine. They already have people working internally with Unreal Engine. Not to say that means anything, but other than some people think it's cool and want to use it, but I can see them having an eye on it and being like, that would be something that we would want, because we don't have we being Microsoft don't have like a premier indie game development engine. They can't get Unity. Who else can they get?
That would be an epic deal if they.
That would be an epic deal. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be kind of scared if all of a sudden Microsoft decided to snatch up Valve and Steam. I'd actually be a little worried about that.
I'm honestly
Think about all those games that would come to Game Pass, though, like the entire Steam library. Game Pass.
That could be cool, but I also get a little worried that Microsoft will Microsoft it.
I'd get worried once Phil left.
Yeah.
That they would Microsoft it. Depending on who the successor is, obviously they'll need to make a name for themselves, but I assume at some point Phil will step down or go into a different role. And
you can
then
assume
it'll be
we'll see that guy before Phil completely steps down.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nintendo, we just got dropped Doug Bowser. They were like, here's a guy who will never be on anything, won't make anything fun, and
His name is
his name is
Bowser.
Bowser.
maybe
different
Xbox will hire Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Oh, God. I would like to
mean,
see Reggie again, back in the saddle.
He did a great job when he worked at Pizza Hut. So
good times. Quantic Dream is working on a new game. If you're not familiar with Quantic Dream, they brought us things like Heavy Rain. I don't know if you guys played Heavy Rain.
Mhm.
I did not.
Heavy Rain, the Ellen Page. Well, what's
Elliot Page is
Elliot
his name
Page?
now.
I was trying to remember.
The Beyond Two Souls.
Well, now that's not funny because, anyways, Beyond Two Souls.
And Detroit Almost Human is
Yeah.
their most recent game.
I'm gonna try to play Detroit in the next month or two.
It's
I haven't
not
Beyond
bad.
Two Souls was meh. It seemed like it was more about the character than a lot of story and a lot of stuff like gameplay. It was just like a big long. I don't know.
Well,
But
we're not
Heavy
here to
Rain
talk
was-
about those. We're here to talk about possibly a new Star Wars.
Heavy Rain was good. I'm gonna throw that
Rumor.
in there.
A
Anyways,
rumored new Star
Yeah.
Wars.
rumored.
New Star Wars game that has been in development for a little over a year and a half. So, ooh, are you guys excited for what this could be?
Maybe.
I don't know.
So the rumor is that it will be an action game with possible multi-playing open world adventures. Won't be something like Heavy Rain.
Yeah,
where
where
you
it
had
has
to do
their
like the quick
QTs.
time, like yeah. So it'll be very different. I don't even know what they would make. Like I
That's
have no
just
idea. Like
it.
a Clone Wars or something. Like, are we getting a Clone Wars big open fight thing? Like, I don't know.
Doesn't
gonna-
sound like the kind of game that they make. It'd
Yeah,
be a very
this-
like story driven, like character interaction.
Ooh, I hope we're like smuggling other Baby Yodas into other.
God, don't make
places.
it a Mandalorian game, please.
No, it's gonna be if it's an action game and this is true that they're making it is to your point, it's gonna be weird because all of their previous games, Detroit, Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, what was the one before that I
Indigo
always
Prophecy.
forget? Indigo Prophecy. Like they're not these action games, and put aside the QuickTime event stuff. They're just all about story and characters and stuff like that, which is exciting for Star Wars. But if it'd be, I guess, cool if they're trying to make a typical action Star Wars game, but also try to put that focus on story in there. Would be really cool.
Gonna be a game where you play as Senator Jar Jar Binks. Figured it
How
out.
about
I'd do it.
Jedi?
I would play
Jedi.
it.
I'm sorry, Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks.
No, that's not canon.
I like
Doesn't
that.
matter.
You don't know. He could be a Sith Lord.
They have
I
said
like
it
that
numerous
theory.
times.
When?
Did George say that?
It doesn't matter what George says
Did
anymore.
you hear from?
Yeah,
did
it
you hear
doesn't
from
matter what
Disney?
George says
Yes,
anymore.
it was. Oh
Did
God, I
Walt
get his
Disney
name.
come out and say
He
Jar
doesn't
Jar is
know
not-
what they own.
Oh,
It's
he-
Pablo
Disney-
Hidalgo.
Walt Disney is dead,
Who's-
so he can't talk
Yeah.
about Star Wars.
he is not dead. He has been thawed recently. But who is this other guy?
Well, he's
Hidalgo.
Thought
He's
and
froze-
woken up.
He's frozen in carbonite.
Yep.
He's I could be getting the name wrong, but it's Pablo Hidalgo, who is the lore master now for Lucasfilm over
It's
at
not a
Disney.
real title. He's wrong.
Okay.
Do you guys know is Quantic also publishing this Star Wars game, or they have somebody else doing it? Because I know they do publish some of their own titles.
That's
We'll
what I
find
was going
out,
to ask
yeah.
too. If they don't publish through EA, why would they get the Star Wars license?
Right.
Well, I think this is
You don't have to.
through
anymore.
Lucasfilm. Yeah, it's not. You don't need EA anymore.
So
Is that
still need
true?
Disney
I thought they were
involved.
exclusive holders to the.
Ubisoft is making a Star Wars
Yeah.
game.
They're-
Aspire's not EA. They're
The
making
rights are
KOTOR.
coming up
Yeah, in the next year or
this
two.
year or two, and yeah, so they've already announced games coming out from other companies.
Got it. Hope they don't
Yeah.
renew it.
They're not. It's too
They're
late.
not gonna, not with all these other games in
Just shut
development.
down everything else. Like, up, we're gonna give you a ton of money just
They
to
should-
like shut down these other.
They should do the opposite. Not let EA make any more Star Wars movie or books.
You don't want
The movie-
Respawn to
I
make
can't even-
another Jedi
Star
Fallen
Wars
Order?
video game.
Fallen Order was pretty fun.
Yeah. What if they made a Titanfall Star Wars game? Wouldn't you be sad, man?
I want a Titanfall 3.
But what if it was a Star
What
Wars
would
Titanfall?
what would a
3?
Titanfall
care.
Star Wars be? Like you can summon in like an AT-AT and just go to
AT-AT.
town. Or...
ATST.
Yeah,
They're
No,
more
it's-
mobile.
or Clone Wars stuff. They got
Yeah, but the
It's
AT-AT,
a
I don't know.
Rancor.
they're wobbly.
It's a Rancor. You just hop in the
Just-
brain cavity and steer the Rancor around.
You grab him by his hair and drag him around like Ratatouille.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, an ATST. There you go. Just drop an ATST in.
wobbly. They're garbage.
Yeah.
Ewoks took them out.
Some teddy
Terrible.
bears.
You got you lost to Teddy Bear Dreamland. Like they're terrible.
No, I'm excited. I hope this rumor is true, and I'm just very interested in what it's going to be like. Again, they've done a good job with story-driven games, so we can hope it's going to be just as good. I mean, can't be worse than anything EA has done, right?
again. Fallen Order's a pretty good game.
Squadrons too, right?
Also
Squadrons, oh yeah, it was also pretty good.
They haven't done a lot, but they're the last games they've come out with have been pretty top notch.
Our next rumor on the docket: Skull and Bones. That is a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Let's see what you did there. Yeah, I think we talked about this a month or two ago, and it sounds like it's been in development hell, which I mean, obviously, since when did
Clearly.
they first show it in like 2014, 2015?
Well, and they
whatever it
first
was?
announced the concept right after Black Flag came out, so this has more or less been in development for what, almost a decade.
And if any of this rumor is true, it sounds like it's going to be. I'm saying this. This is not part of the rumor, but I'm putting my own spin on it. It's going to be some sort of live service game that's going to have a bunch of microtransaction bullshit in it. Basically what it sounds like, what they're saying here in the rumor, is that you're basically, like starting from scratch as a pirate or whatever, that you'll like start out basically with a raft and build up your resources and your reputation, and by doing jobs and raids on cargo runs, plundering settlements, and basically building up and buying, upgrading your ship as you go, or buying new ships. I guess who knows how it's going to work, but yeah, it's just
This was supposed to have multiplayer to it, right?
Yep.
Like it's not just a single player campaign read.
Last I
Originally-
heard of it was a MMO, basically.
but when we talked about it, it sounded, again, the rumors, sound like it was through development hell and restarted here, and then they'd bring a new, lead designer person on, and they'd have their way they want to do it, and then they'd be on for a year, and then they'd get fired or let go or move on and bring somebody else in, and they have a different vision. So nobody knows what this game is going to be like anymore.
Now it sounds like they're really borrowing heavily from like Elite Dangerous and some of those games. At least with that kind of progression system and what you can do, except you're limited in where you can go.
I can't imagine starting with a raft is going to make this game a lot of fun. Like
It's probably going to be more like maybe like a sloop, from like, yeah, I can't imagine them actually being a raft unless it's like
it's,
the opening
it's
of the
tied
game.
together logs in
Unless
the
it's
Indian
like
Ocean, just rowing your way across with like 3 barrels of goods, and you got to go deliver them and not get shot down.
Do you guys remember Atlas? Do you remember that
Yep.
that dumpster fire, Atlas? It'd be like that.
Did you
But
start with the
hopefully
raft
it
there?
works. You started with nothing. And you had to build all your shit. You had to build like a little silly raft and then go magically sail to other islands without having like sharks, storms, or pirate or like ghost ships destroy you.
Oh,
It was basically like, have you guys not heard of Atlas before?
No, I just had to look
I remember seeing trailers.
It was
Yeah.
a big thing at Gamescom a couple years ago, and it was like supposed to be like an MMO version of Ark, but with pirates.
Hot damn, you can ride a bear.
because
And it was an absolute dumpster fire when it released,
And
and
still
got
got mixed
refunded a
reviews.
lot.
didn't
Yeah.
that come out around the same time as Sea of Thieves, or maybe it was like a year after?
No, yeah, it was after.
Okay.
It was well after. I think this was like, I want to say like 2 years ago.
December
December-
20. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing seeing the trailers for it and the hype for it, and then I remember reading an article or two. I think before we started doing podcast stuff, reading an article, and it was like just not good at all. And then I haven't heard about it until you brought it up again here.
Yep.
So
I bought it, played it, refunded it, never looked back.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does look like a higher res version of Sea of Thieves, but mixed reviews kind of tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
But you
Decided
can ride
to
a
make
giant
art.
bear.
They
Mhm.
decided to make Ark 2 instead.
with Vin Diesel. Oh yeah.
I haven't heard
At
from that
Olive
game in a while.
Garden.
I don't know. We'll see what this Skull and Bones stuff is like. Hopefully, I mean, there's only really one more show this year where there's potential for big game announcements, and that would be
Oh,
Jeff
the Game
Keighley's The Game Awards. There's a small chance there, but I wouldn't hold your breath. But I imagine we'll hear about this again.
I'm
next
actually looking
E3.
forward to that event. I'm not
I
gonna
am
lie.
too. It gets
He's
it
getting
gets
better.
Yeah, it gets better every year, and it's exciting. And yeah, the last 2 or 3 years, he's had some big announcements there. Not a ton, but
I was going to say, I'm watching it for the trailers.
world premiere.
You don't want to watch it for like Laura Bailey to get another
No,
award?
I don't
No?
care about award shows
Mm.
at all.
And
I mean,
neither do the award shows. Remember last year? They're like, there's all of these categories. Then they announce one and go like an hour before they talk about it again.
They
Then
got
it
like
had-
an auctioneer to run through the awards.
Well, though, they like for some of the more like important or bigger ones, wasn't there like a woman they occasionally cut to, and she'd be just like, and here this game won this award, and this game won this award, and this game won, and it was like, back to you, Jeff, and yeah, that's okay. I'm there for the trailers, anyways. So
I wonder if they'll ditch the awards and just do a game of the year. Like go through all the cool trailers and then game of the year at the end.
It'll somehow
Maybe-
be The Last of Us Part 2 again.
yeah,
The remaster or the
Mhm.
PlayStation 5 or 6 edition, whatever they want to call it. That's about it for rumors, unless there's anything else you dudes want to talk about for Skull and Bones. We can move on to some
you-
video game.
did you guys hear
News?
about the final rumor I didn't put in here?
You
Well,
didn't
no,
put
'cause
in
it's
there?
not in the
No.
notes.
Yeah, Switch Pro.
I knew you were going there. I was gonna say the same thing, but I was waiting for you to have it.
Matt, that's not a rumor. That's fact.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. So let's put that in the games section. So, Switch Pro.
They just haven't
It's-
announced it yet.
It's
Yeah.
as factual as when the Series X was starting to be there, and there were rumors about a new Xbox console. It's the same thing. We all know it's coming. It's just it hasn't been talked about.
It's just like winter.
The pizzas are coming. Ah, jeez. Are you guys excited for a reprobed edition? Destroy All Humans 2, a complete redo of the game.
I was
I
gonna
didn't
let
play
you
the
have
first
this one,
one,
Chris.
so I don't know.
I played it. I didn't enjoy it. So, no, I'm kind of passive on the fact they decided to remaster it.
Never played the sequel. Don't really care about a remaster of a game I haven't played.
This one, it sounds like they're actually like doing the remake on it, right?
Like a real remake, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not just like flipping assets or anything like that. It looks like it's a new.
So they did talk about how they wanted to keep it like, similar to the first game, but they are going to be changing some stuff. So maybe there's a chance it'll be good. I never played the first one. I only just played Destroyed All Humans, for July's book club.
Yeah.
Book club.
I mean, I just, just me being a bit, maybe I'm kind of, yeah, maybe not pessimistic, but I'm just kind of raining on the parade. I'm sick of remakes. Make new games. Stop relying on old games and making them look pretty to resell them. Just make new games. I don't want a new Destroy All Humans again. I want a new game that could be replacing Destroy All Humans entirely. Like, I want a new game.
Destroy all aliens.
Yes.
Well, and that's just kind of it. It's like I get it for some games that were really popular and could use the bump, sure. But I will almost guarantee you, if you look back, this game didn't do well. I know it didn't get good reviews because I remember double checking that just when they announced it. So the fact that they're redoing it, just I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to know how old we are or how old I am, I remember watching the review for Destroy All Humans on XPlay.
Oh my god.
I don't remember what the score was. I want to say it was probably like a 3 out of 5 or something like
Good old
that. But
XPlay.
yeah, maybe need to double check me on that one. But I do remember seeing that on XPlay.
Are they back yet? Didn't they just do a whole bunch of like interviewing? Like
I don't know.
Right before the pandemic, they were like, "Hey, send in video interviews of yourself."
Oh, well, that's because they're rebooting G4 TV.
Mhm.
They're looking for all kinds
Yeah.
of content creators to do stuff, and it's probably going to be like the PewDiePie channel or something garbage like that.
I know Adam Sessler. Adam Sessler? Is that his name?
Adam Sizzler.
Sure, whatever his name was. I know he's going back. I don't think Morgan Webb was going back.
Okay, well, that's. I mean, if I want to see Adam Sessler break a hip on TV, like,
Yeah.
And then apparently the original Destroy All Humans 2, I can't find. I'm not looking that hard. That review of it, but it sold 340,000 copies.
That's
Not a lot.
not a lot.
It net revenue of 13 million. So not a lot.
something that really warrants a remaster or probably even a remake.
No,
How about a reprobe?
gross.
No.
No.
Delicious.
I completely-
probing.
I completely agree with you guys as far as remakes, remasters, and all that.
I want something new.
I will throw it
It's
out though.
boring.
If they're gonna do something, at least go the remaster route, like they're doing with KOTOR and supposedly Destroy All Humans too. Because at least you're trying to potentially make some changes and actually improve on it a little bit, maybe. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, for a game that does not sound like it did well and is probably not really beloved by fans, it's weird that they're doing this. But a few more deets on this. It is only next gen and PC. I'm sorry, not next gen. I gotta correct myself.
It's only next gen.
It won't support last gen. There you go. And it'll be on PC. They're overhauling the destruction system. They're adding some new weapons. They're giving you some new abilities and some new gear. So, and it will contain co-op, which apparently the first one or two, Destroy All Humans 2 had. So that will be in there, even though they didn't really show any of it in the announcement trailer or gameplay trailer that followed.
I'll skip it. It is what it is.
What, you don't want to do a book club on it?
I didn't even
No.
do the first one.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
missed
That's
out.
one.
It was kind of fun. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice little summer, like
Yeah.
kind of free flowing game. I guess I don't know how to describe it, but it
It was
felt
a
right.
summer romp of a game.
That's a better descriptor for
The
it.
destruction was fun. I like being in the
Yes.
saucer floating around and just, especially when you leveled some of the stuff up and could blow up like a block at a time. It was good.
One block at a time. Oh, we got some God of War updates. Ragnarok is going to be the end of the Norse areas for God of War. I wasn't 100% sure if this is like the end of God of War or if they meant just the
Just the
Norse
Norse
section
storyline,
of
yeah.
it.
Norse story, Norse saga. I don't know, whatever. Norse games. Yeah, Corey, I didn't write what's his name? Corey something. Anyways, the guy like kind of did the first game as a hand in the second one. Basically, he was just saying it takes like 4 to 5 years to make one of these games, and he didn't really want it to go like 15 years to tell a story. So they're trying to tie it up here. It's going to be fantastic. I know it's going to be. The first one was great. And they're only improving on the second one, and it's going to be on PS5, so it's going to look great. But yeah, I mean, and they even said in the interview they're going to be bringing back some of the select Blades of Chaos attacks. They're obviously not going to bring back just like the whole old moves and attacks with the Blades of Chaos, but they want to lean into that a little bit more.
Chaos.
But yes, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, I don't care that a game takes 4 to 5 years, so I'm not sure why. I mean, who cares if it's true? I mean, also,
I mean, you
not
waited
everything.
like a decade for Destiny to even start their story, so I think that might be.
It's still in beta. They'll get the story nailed down here soon. But yeah, I mean, not every game needs to be like some trilogy or go on and on and on and on. So I'm okay with this, but I was a little surprised. I figured they were going to just follow the trilogy model, and I don't know.
This is one game that makes me want to actually go get a PlayStation. I haven't played any of them, and I've wanted to. I think when the first one came out, I was just way done with that style of game. I played a lot of the Devil May Cry, so I was just like, eh. And then Dante's Inferno, it was just like, eh. There's so many of these, kind of like Assassin's Creed. Like every game kind of started going that route. But I think God of War stands out from a lot of those other titles, just in general. So I'm thinking I should probably go play them one day. But
the original 3 were really good. I played them. I didn't play any of the little side games. It wasn't there a prequel, I believe, in some Vita games, but
I was gonna say there's so many God of War games.
You could probably just jump into God of War. Was that 2018 one?
The most recent available.
Like, I mean, I guess it helps a little bit to know who Kratos is and kind of his previous story, but they don't really. I don't think it's required to do Ragnarok, or not Ragnarok, to God of War 2018. So
I could probably watch the YouTube video, like 10 minutes, get through it, see
but,
what all happened in the first 3. And
I also don't want to talk you out from playing those games because they were all really fun.
Nope, too late. Over.
I have not.
I can let you borrow a PS3 and you can play them all.
Remember, so one,
tomorrow.
I have a PS3. I've got one. 2, remember how this went with another game where I was like, I really want to play it, and then everyone's like, no, you can't.
I think there was somebody else that offered to let you borrow that, but I have it. I can go pull it out.
I have never played any God of War game aside from 2018's, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Dun, bum, bum, bum. Is this good Halo news or bad Halo news, Matt?
It's the Master Chief Collection, so it's good. It's good news, not Halo Infinite. So.
Season 8 is coming this fall and is going to be the last official update for the year, at least, for the Master Chief Collection. Do we know, will there be more stuff coming in the future, or is this the end for the Master Chief Collection?
I don't see why they wouldn't.
It's the end to their seasonal model for now. They said they're going to continue to update and fix and add to the game, but my guess is their team is going to be, a bunch of them are probably going to be shifted over to focus a little bit more on Infinite. So the cadence and the stream of updates and things is probably going to be a lot slower. And they did mention anything new that they do is just going to be when it's ready. They're just going to develop something. They're not going to make some, again, big seasonal announcement and add all this content. Whatever they work on next, it's when it's ready, it'll be released. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit of fanfare with it, but again, they're not going to package it into something really crazy and push it out in a big package. It'll just be, hey, here's a cool update we've been working on, and it's finally ready to go.
Righteous. So what are we getting with this final update?
So there will be, from what I understood, there'll be some Halo CE modding in there for the PC community, which is exciting. And they'll be bringing Halo 2 and Halo 3 mod support later. This will all be done through Steam Workshop. So they're adding a new map to Halo 3, Icebox. This is actually from the Halo Online game, which is also a map that was remade from Halo 2, which was Turf. So I mean, it's exciting. It looks like a really cool level, and Turf was always a fun level. You know, Icebox is probably gonna be cool too. They're going to be bringing updates to things like ODST Firefight, new maps to Halo, just what is it? Post-match poses. I guess that's the thing games like to do now. Pre and post-game weird stuff, but
Yeah.
whatever. They're adding campaign collectibles, campaign customization, and some more accessibility features, such as colorblind filters and subtitle options. So that's exciting. They're also bringing, this is something I didn't know, they're bringing Classic HUD back to the original Halo game. This is something like I said, I didn't even know. I guess this was one of the carryovers from, they didn't do a bad job, but they when Gearbox ported Halo CE to PC, there were some things that were kind of off. And apparently this was one thing that was off that I never actually knew about. I always knew about like the shields, the light, and some of the lighting, which they also fixed in, I believe, the Season 7 update. Season 7 or Season 6.
God damn it,
so that's
Gearbox.
cool. And they're also the PC file share and custom game browser. So again, a lot of cool stuff. Oh, and
It's a lot of nice stuff.
Did I write it down here and I missed it? They're bringing like new armor sets, like some really crazy, insane stuff. So it kind of doesn't feel like Halo, but at this point, who cares? You want to run around looking like some, knight from the Middle Ages? Sure, why not? But
And honestly, I'm fine with them. If they do end up slowing down creating content for it, I'm actually very okay with that. Mainly because, and this is a very strong opinion I have on this sort of stuff, but the fact that they're adding in modding is huge. I love that. I love the fact that they're enhancing more and more of the modding community, allowing the Steam Workshop to be able to get people to easily get mods for these games is going to be really awesome, because one of the great things about modding is that it gives the players the tools to be able to create more content so the developers don't have to. And it really just extends the longevity of a game without the developers really needing to do a lot of work to have to keep pumping out and recycling content over and over and over. And I know that a lot of people will go and do a bunch of mods for these kinds of games, and that's really what's going to make the game even more fun to play, even like 5 years down the road. This is why people still go back to Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2 or something like that and play the custom games, because they really are just that much fun. And even if you don't want to play like classic StarCraft, it doesn't matter if they haven't made an expansion in 4 years or something like that. There's plenty of really cool custom games that you can play that make the game fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very happy with this sort of a change.
I mean, some of the content, the skins and things like that they're doing, the armor, I was kind of iffy on, but if like the fact that they've just like you said, like modding some of this other support, I was reading that a big reason they took so long to do the ODST Firefight was because they were switching it from peer-to-peer to
Dedicated server.
Dedicated. So like that's the kind of improvements I'd like to see from them in the future. Just kind of the stability, or allowing the community, in this case, modding, because I believe that's going to come down the road too for Halo ODST and Halo 4 as well.
Yeah, you're looking for more like technical and maintenance. You're not necessarily looking for content.
Yeah. No, don't need new content. Just improve the game. I haven't looked in forever to see if they ever, one of my biggest complaints is sometimes the campaign networking cooperative was not the greatest. I haven't tried that in forever, so I don't know if they ever updated that. But like, if it's still an issue, it'd be great to just see them go back, and it's probably too hard to do and too big of a project, but switch that from peer to peer or whatever it is to, some sort of server or something like that, so you don't get those hiccups. But yeah, I'm all for those type of updates. I could care less about the extra content. Just make sure it's playable, make sure the community has what they need, like these mod tools and all the game types and game modes, and let it live on until we get some remasters or remakes and Master Chief Collection 2. You heard it here, folks. Master Chief Collection 2 is coming.
Well, that's after they basically remake every game. Call it Halo Infinite.
They add all the games.
I can't imagine a bigger waste of time than a Halo 5 remaster.
Yep. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
What if they got mod support and everybody just went in and made a better Halo game?
That's what it needs.
You guys ready to move on from Halo into our next area of conversation? A little bit of news.
So. Sure.
Earlier we talked a bunch about some Microsoft things and tying it a little bit to Epic, and here's why. Some things have come out, some finalizations, and some other things. Epic v. Apple. Anybody want to take a crack at what happened or what the kind of verdict came out to be? No?
What do you mean?
So, what was the outcome? Like, does anybody want to take a stab at the outcome?
Oh, so how many counts were there against Apple? It was like 9 or something like that?
Yeah, it was
and
something like 9.
The judge ruled in favor of Apple on 8 out of 9 of those. The one account that went towards Epic was that Apple can no longer charge, or they can't force app developers to not steer them away from other sources of payment. So they're not forced necessarily to pay the Apple tax or for account information or anything like that. Like, they can say, if you want to sign up, you can go to our website, or if you want to pay for this thing, you can also go to our website or go here to buy this thing rather than buy it through Apple. Other than that, the judge ruled that what Apple is currently doing, as far as like it's all, the whole walled garden sort of a thing, is not monopolistic in any way. And I believe the quote is that success is not illegal. It was kind of the quote that that the judge had used. So depending on your news source could gauge that one way or the other towards either favor. Most game journos will probably say that Epic won a mighty battle against Epic, or Epic won a mighty battle against Apple, and Apple got shit on by Epic, even though they lost 8 out of 9 of their things they were trying to sue Apple for. And at the end of the day, Epic got slapped a little bit by the judge as well, saying that they in fact did do a direct breach of contract, and they have proof of all of that. So Apple is not forced to bring Fortnite back onto the App Store, and there, as far as I could tell, there really is no reason for them to do so. I mean, Epic went out of their way to breach the contract, and they did it in a very public fashion, and they weren't really shy about it. So I think all in all, like, I'm curious as to what you guys think about this. I mean, overall, I think that what came out of this was that this is kind of good for developers in a small scale, but Epic's grand scheme really kind of fell flat.
I don't think it fell flat. Okay, so they did have to pay for breaching contract, right? That's
Yes.
$12 million for breaching contract. Some of these companies are so big, the $12 million plus lawyer. I just whacked my hand on my desk. $12 million plus lawyers and all of the time and money that went into this. That's just a cost of doing business, right? In the end, they've made it so that they can get around Apple. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to get around Apple. That's
You're
with
not
their
really
application.
But you're not really getting around Apple, though. You still have
You
to go through you still have to go through a very rigorous process of getting your app verified and all that. Literally the only thing that
Yeah, yeah.
developers are getting are they can put a link in their app that says if you want to buy something, you can go here. But there's a lot of other stuff that the Apple tax is still going to be able to pick on you for.
Sure, but this is one piece.
This
right?
is one piece, but there's nothing ruling in favor of anything else that Apple is doing is wrong. The judge did kind of chastise Apple, saying that like it's kind of scummy what you're doing, but it's not illegal scummy.
Right. But what I'm saying is that they took a large chunk out of Apple potentially, right? If you were to get Fortnite back on that platform, there's a ton of it may not happen. Chris, speak up, don't just shake your head. It's one of those things that if they get it back on there, they will lose money because kids aren't necessarily going to go through the Apple way to pay for it, right? They might take the link and just go buy it, do it on the website and buy all their stuff through that instead of having to go through Apple. Any other game in the future that monetizes that way, they don't even have to put in a way to buy it through the application with Apple. They can decide, you know what, we're only going to put in this external link for you to go purchase, you know, the V-Bucks or the items that you need to continue playing the game or getting the skins, you know, get more turns in this mini golf game. You can only buy them if you go external to the web browser and purchase it. That is potentially a lot of money lost. And I think that is a big blow to somebody who had said, no, you can't do that. Well, I mean, unless they went to the web browser themselves, didn't go out of the app, but they said, no, you can't do that in the apps. That is huge. That is a big break in their wall. And I think parts will slowly start to change with that break happening.
Why do you think things will start to change?
Because you've made them bleed once. So? As you start to, but how do you think everything goes? Everything starts with one piece and it escalates from there. So I don't think Epic is done. I mean, I know they're not done because they appealed it, but they're going to keep pressing at different things. And if you can nickel and dime the Apple way of doing things, you can fundamentally change how they receive their money.
Right. I mean, for some reason that a judge would rule in favor of that, but until that happens, Apple's not going to change anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Until they're forced to change something. Yep. But then this is the onus is on Epic to bring a case against it that can prove their point, but they've just lost on 8 out of 9 of their points.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. They did chip away at the wall a little bit, but there's already a legal precedent set that Apple is not doing anything wrong. So going to a higher court of appeals might not really do anything other than just cost Epic more money and legal fees.
Unless that higher court disagrees with this judgment.
Yeah,
right?
But that's that's speculative. That's not really guaranteed.
Right. And it's speculative that the next judge will agree too, right? We don't have any idea who's going to look into this. So
I guess what I'm saying is that what I'm saying, I guess, to go against your argument, then what I'm saying is that this isn't circumventing Apple entirely, because you are still going to get a lot of Apple tax for a lot of different things that you're already doing with your application. Just because you can send users to a link to do in-app purchases elsewhere is great for the end developer, and I actually support that. I think that's fine. There was a lot of really weird and shady stuff that Apple was doing. Things like, I think one of the things that was brought to attention was like, you can't actually go through Netflix and make a Netflix account unless you did it through the Apple app. Like you couldn't go to a web browser or something like that and actually make an account on Netflix. You had to do it through the app. No, they don't have to do that anymore, which is good. But there's still a lot of stuff that Apple can do, as the judge has said, is kind of scummy and might feel wrong, but it's not illegal. So I don't think it's an entirely you're not entirely circumventing this sort of walled
Right, but
garden, but you do
if
have
you're a
a
smaller
leak in the wall.
company, if you're a smaller company who makes a free to play application with in-app purchases,
Mhm.
that is your entire bread and butter is the in-app purchases, right?
Sure.
Thing. And with that, that's how you make your money. I wouldn't want the platform that I put it on taking some of that. I will pay a publishing fee to get it on your platform, sure, but I don't want you coming in and taking 5 cents off of every 50 cents I make, right? Like
that's true, but that's also not guaranteed. The reason that it's not guaranteed is because you have to make the end user has to make the choice. They have to make the deliberate choice to go to that website and buy that
and
thing.
if you
If they
remove
have
the choice
you can't
from using app, yes, you can. You can
can't.
remove the choice from doing it within the app through Apple.
No, I believe that is still part of the terms of service, is that you have to be able to put something in your application so that you can buy stuff through the Apple Store. You can put links to circumvent that. You can't only circumvent that. You will still have to actually be able to buy things through the Apple Store. That's why that they're going to have things
but
like
if you don't,
Apple
okay,
gift,
so if it's
like for example, if you have somebody who's paying with an Apple gift card, and for some reason the app developer decides we're not for some reason going to put an Apple purchasable option, well, there's nothing that you can do about it. You're losing money. So it makes no sense to not have both options.
Use the Apple gift card somewhere else. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense to do that. What I'm saying is nowhere in the agreement that I read do they have to allow purchases within it. So let's take Fortnite as the example, because this is what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Fortnite said you can buy skins with these things, the V-Bucks, but you can't buy them through Apple. They're not available in the app on iOS. The only way you can do it is to follow this link. You're not putting in an option to pay in any way, shape, or form other than if you want skins and things, here's an app that goes to our store. So it's if you have a banger of a game like Fortnite and every little kid is playing it and loves the hell out of it, playing it on their phone, on the bus, doing whatever, right? And the only way they can purchase things is by leaving and going to do it. They can do that. There is nothing within the application that says you have to purchase or you have to have a purchasable option through Apple.
That's not true.
I don't see that is what I'm saying. Like nowhere in the agreement do I see it. So maybe I'm missing it.
What agreement are you talking about? The Apple, the
developing agreement, as well as the outcome of the lawsuit.
Because that's actually part of the process to get your app verified by Apple. You have to have your payment structure so that you can buy things through the Apple Store.
But if it's a free app,
it doesn't matter if it's a free app. I'm talking about in-app purchases. If it's in-app purchases,
there's no in-app purchases, is what I'm telling you. Is if you change your model of the development of the app, you don't say in-app purchases. You only put in a link that says, "Hey, we have skins and things that are available here," and they can now then leave, go purchase those things, and then they're in the game. It's not. There's no in-app purchasing because you can't purchase in the app no matter what. So it's a free to play, free to download.
No, I understand.
In-app purchases, just a link to my website where you can buy things that then will show up in your game.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
But if you're going to be doing transactions through your game and you're publishing it on the Apple Store, you do have to put that model.
Transactions through the game. All it's doing is calling, whatever server holds what information you have.
Like I said,
pulling down the assets. You're not doing any purchasing through the application at all.
Right. And I'm saying that just because you can put that link to circumvent that does not mean that is the only way that you are allowed to do that. You cannot just only circumvent the Apple Store like that, because
and I don't see where it says that if you're not offering in-app purchases.
Okay.
So you can
but
get
this
around
is part
it.
of the.
So here is the direct quote from the lawsuit. Apple is permanently restrained and enjoined from prohibiting developers from including in their apps and in their metadata buttons external links or other calls to action that direct customers to purchasing mechanisms in addition to in-app purchasing and communicating with customers through points of contact, obtained voluntarily, blah, 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 blah. That says that in-app purchasing has to still be allowed.
I disagree if you are not offering in-app purchasing. If you're never buying anything through the app.
Then you found a loophole. Who cares?
Right. Like if you're purchasing just straight V-Bucks.
Are you really going to get that upset over like just a theoretical Apple conversation? It's a loophole that I think.
I'm confused.
Okay. It's a loophole that I think works. And I think if you don't offer any kind of in-app purchasing, you can still put it in there and say, hey, this is how we do our things. You can market it everywhere else. It's allowing people to be able to sell outside of the Apple Store. And I think that's just a huge win in general.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I don't think that that's actually, I don't think that that model that you're describing is something that a lot of developers are either doing or going to do.
It's not
like,
practical.
If you,
I will give you that. Like nobody's going to do it, but I'm saying you can.
Yeah. So yeah, but so what? Just because you can doesn't mean you will.
Well,
or that it's like feasible.
Here's
right. But what I'm saying is per Epic, who is like, no, we want all of our dollars. They can do something like, not like they're going to, because it's probably never going back on the iOS, but it's one of those things that you can now do that. If a larger company with a big game like that wants to make that change, they can do so.
Well, I mean, I'm not a legal or Apple expert on the TOS, so I'm not going to be able to nitpick everything that you're saying. But I mean, I would imagine that there is probably clauses in the Apple certification for building your app for that. I mean, the Apple certification is rigorous, and you do have to abide by a lot of Apple's ruling to get your app on the Apple Store, period. And that might have to be, if you're going to have like transactions or things like that are going to interact with your app, then you need to be able to provide a way to buy this in the app and not just only direct it to a website. Like there's probably some clause in there that tells you to do that.
Right. And what I'm saying is if it's allowed, and this is where I also don't know the terms of service. I'm just saying, if you don't allow their definition of in-app purchases, you can probably still steer people out towards other ways to get the things.
Yeah, you could. That's risky though. That's exactly what Epic did, and they got punished pretty hard for it.
You don't. Well, we could go into how, because I have a lot of ideas on how they could easily do it. And still stay outside of this, but
I think you're going to see...
that's neither here nor there. Like that. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter because Apple still really owns the domain.
Oh yeah,
with the exception of being able to give the users the option to choose another payment method rather than only being able to use the Apple payment method.
I think.
I mean, you could argue that you could have done that all along. Like, oh yeah, click this link to go to a website. Okay, yeah, you could go to a website, buy some V-Bucks, and
they couldn't add that, but they could say we don't offer in-app purchases on iOS. They could have done that all along.
That's what Netflix and a lot of them did.
So yeah, but like I was saying, depending on who you talk to, this is game journals will say, hey, this is a win for Epic. Apple sites will say it was a big win for Apple. The judge says, well,
not really.
It's you both are kind of getting slapped here. And as far as I know, it's not actually just 12 million that Epic is being forced to pay.
No.
It's 12 million plus plus all of the revenue that they had made between a certain time period of all the in-app purchases that they had circumvented.
Mm-hmm.
They
when
have
they
to
updated
pay that.
The game and when it got pulled.
Yeah. So they have to pay that too. Plus, I thought there was one more thing as well that they have to pay as well. And of course, they just jeopardized themselves being able to put Fortnite and potentially more Epic game apps on the App Store.
Well, Sweeney's probably going... Obviously, Tim Sweeney was not very happy about the ruling. And they've already filed an appeal, so we'll probably be talking about this again sometime in the future. Mm-hmm. But he's probably gonna just throw a tantrum and just say, just take his ball and go home, or balls, because it's not just fork fight. It'll be whatever other games they want to put on there.
Right.
So,
which I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, like this, it was a small win for developers, for like what Mike was talking about, tiny devs who are just trying to get as much money as they can out of their tiny app. That it was a little win for them, which is what I thought kind of what Tim Sweeney was trying to do, but he's really just trying to destroy the walled garden, and it's
because he wants all the money.
That was yeah. I think he just wants a lot more money than what he deserves.
The thought that comes to my mind is, one, small developers will have to find someone else to host their payments if they don't go through Apple. It has to go through someone else. Two, a lot of the games, especially games like Fortnite, part of the reason it was so easy for them to make money is because you have the account, your Apple ID right there, and it just bills right to it. Kid says, "Hey mom, put in your password." Now the kid would have to get their parents to set up full accounts in different platforms and services to make that happen, which, yeah, it can happen, but there's more checks and balances in that system. So it's going to hurt Apple. It's not going to be the same as it was, but realistically, Apple was more fighting about being a monopoly and than really caring about this quite as much, which is why Apple still called it a victory.
I see a lot of similarities here with Nintendo and Apple. What I'm seeing the strategy through Epic Games is that if they make it difficult enough, Apple, if they make it difficult enough for people to be doing things on their platform, and if you can break these little pieces, little blocks to make them continue to change the way that they're doing things, make it more and more annoying, people will stop going to them. People will stop. It happened to Nintendo. It'll never happen to Apple. You're right.
Not
It'll
to
never
this
ever
extent.
happen.
No.
I mean,
you don't know that it's possible.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But the thing that Nintendo kind of lost out on, that Apple isn't going to lose out on, is that Apple is the number one smartphone device that has literal billions or maybe billions of devices out there. Like, there's just no way that people are going to be like, yeah, you know what? All this Apple thing, this Apple ecosystem that I'm getting roped into, we're just gonna ditch that
until
and
the
we're
next
just gonna
big thing comes out and has a better platform. And if they can't keep up with somebody who's willing to do that change in platform, it's possible. Nokia died basically because of Apple, right? You got the iPhone, you stopped doing a lot of the Nokia flips, you stopped doing some of the BlackBerry stuff. All of those things used to be the top, and we're like, well, this is the cat's meow. It's never going away. If things get too complicated, developers stop developing things for that company other than internal, you're going to see a reduction. And as that reduction happens, more and more people are going to side with whatever device they can do stuff with, who they're friends with.
Right. You're talking just like general business practice. But the thing that you're kind of missing, I think, is just that the sheer size and the ecosystem that Apple has keeps people locked in. It'll keep people locked into that ecosystem. And it is a lot harder to move on than to just say, all right, I'm done with Nintendo. I'm just going to go make my games for Xbox now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the amount of effort it would take to port all my stuff into a brand new system. Oh, my God. That'd be awful.
Yeah, I mean, you're, at the end of the day, sure, you're right that if all of a sudden Apple becomes the device that is not in favor anymore, and they decide to not adapt their business practice, and they decide to not change their model to suit whatever competitors that they have, they will go down the tubes. But if there is a competitor that's even close to Apple, I mean, I would love to see it.
Currently, I don't think so. But I think that is something that, with small things like this, can be the stepping stones to doing that.
True. But I mean, like you said, I mean, the thing that you're talking about is simplicity. And that's actually one thing that Apple totes. And not just for developers per se, but for their end user, because that's who they care about more, is the end user.
Before.
What?
Just kidding. I said I've used an iPhone before.
Well, like what Chris was talking about.
It's very weird to go from Android to iPhone.
Well, that's
sure.
familiarity.
That's yeah, that's a different.
That's where my joke was coming from.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm talking about is like kind of what Chris was describing with his payment method is that you have your Apple Wallet kind of just already tied into everything. You literally just punch in a password and you can buy all the shit that you want. It's that simplicity is what is going to keep people on that platform. And even if developers decide, well, it's kind of complicated for me to be able to make money on it, hasn't stopped anybody from wanting to develop apps on Apple already. Mainly because, yeah, it is just such a giant platform that, the whole reason we kind of went into this sort of monopoly lawsuit is just, they're so big. Is that success illegal because so many people own iPhones? And that's kind of what the judge, ruled against, is that just because they're big and successful doesn't necessarily mean that them being able to wall off their stuff is wrong. Well, illegal. Might feel wrong to a lot of people. I would never buy an Apple device, but
they check if Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers was an Android or iPhone prior to.
I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't think they checked what device they used.
Still got a flip phone.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, even when we were talking about this last year, a lot of this just seemed like a lot of bullshit from Tim Sweeney. I haven't really trusted him ever since he started bringing on these sort of timed exclusives onto the Epic Store, mainly because the whole idea was that they wanted more people on the store so they could make vast improvements to the Epic Store. And the Epic Store is still garbage.
It's been nobody's buying their games.
Yeah, nobody wants to buy on that garbage platform. And it's like the timed exclusives really didn't help, and it just caused a lot of pain for the developers. Not to mention, we've seen a lot of, Epic strong-arming indies into getting onto their platform and being exclusive onto their platform. So really, I have no love for either of these companies, but I'm not gonna lie, I was a little happy to see that Epic just didn't get their way entirely. They got a little bit, and they got the part that I kind of cared about. I can sympathize with the small indie developer of an application. Sure, if you got more options to make a little bit more pocket change, good for you. But seeing Epic not entirely get their way kind of put a smile on my face, because I'm kind of sick of Tim Sweeney's bullshit. He keeps touting all this stuff about, I'm doing this for the little guy, I'm doing this for the developers. It's all about the, making positive changes for the developing community. No, it's not. You're just trying to make money, you asshole.
Make more money.
Yeah. That's my hot take on it.
You talking about how they wanted to make all these improvements to the Epic Game Store and really haven't. Somebody I worked with just the other day on Slack was like, hey, I bought, I don't know, it's Valhalla, I think, because it's exclusive to the Epic Game Store. I think it's that one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, what the heck? I thought I lived in, I don't know, it was I lived in the, it's 2020. Why is it that when I download a game, that when I go to play it, it tells me there's another 40 gig update? And I was like, it's because you bought it on the Epic Game Store. And I mean, just the fact that they have that issue where you download a game and it also doesn't, it just doesn't grab the latest version of it, or also just download the whatever required patch you need anymore, is just, to me, that seems like basic Game Store 101. Download the latest version. If the user downloads a game, buys and downloads a game, download whatever the most up-to-date is. That's the amazing thing about the internet and always being connected. But yeah, it was not a great story, I can tell by the looks on all your faces. So
well, I was just I wanted to sign into my Epic Store to see all the stuff that Epic Store still doesn't have. So
every time I sign in, I get notifications that I have new friend requests that are all bots. I get every service.
I get those too. Yep.
Every service suffers from time to time from bots and things like that. Xbox Live for a while had an issue, but the fact that it's I want to say it's going on 2 years that I keep seeing those messages every time I pop in, and they're not old ones. Or I guess that'd be an issue if they were even still old ones. Why are you still notifying me of old friend requests? But yeah, needs a lot of love if it wants to even compete with Origin. I mean, I was in Origin the other day redeeming a free game from Amazon Gaming, and that was better developed, and organized and functioning
Or good
than
old
Epic
games.
Girl Games,
Or
Steam.
well, of course, Steam. I was trying to think of anything like, I mean, you have other platforms like
You play?
itch.io or something like that.
Mhm.
Although they don't have like necessarily like a desktop client, but they have a much better store than Epic does.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't buy more than one game at a time
That's
on the
insane.
Epic store. There's no shopping cart. I can't gift people games. It's just like, and you wonder why like you aren't competing with Steam.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens next.
I want to see where it goes as it goes forward. Having won a small piece on Epic side, they can now focus a little more on the other parts to it, and they can go a little more deeper into their pieces for it instead of trying to go across 9. I mean, 8 is still a lot, but
so
having
sorry, go ahead.
Having some chunk of it there that gives them a little bit of ground to stand on and a direction to fight into. And there are 2 other lawsuits with Apple that are pending that are in the same vein. So I'd really like to see how all of this pans out, because if we get a ruling different because somebody else argues better something that's happening, I wonder how it flops out. Or does it go back against Epic after these other ones as well and pull back that 9th one and be like, yep, no, actually, we disagreed, and, Supreme Court rules over, we disagree with that change.
Yeah,
I'd be really interested to see.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to wait longer, as it was said earlier that Sweeney is they're filing an appeal. They're gonna move it up the chain.
Yeah, it's already filed.
Yep.
So it's going.
I know. I'm assuming large companies have their little pool of money for dealing with legal stuff, but with all the money they threw at exclusives, with all their money that they're throwing at and losing on these court cases, like, wouldn't that money be better if you just, I don't know, built or bought new studios and built new IPs, or did the whole Field of Dreams thing? If you build it, they will come. So like, improve on the Epic Game Store, make something where people want to be there.
Unless you have a plan to topple a major corporation and insert your...
Yeah, it just seems like lawsuits and buying exclusive rights to games is not a good way to get people on your platform. And I know that was a big argument we had when we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, yeah, I mean, like, what I really can't stand is just the amount of grandstanding that Tim Sweeney does, and he's talking about how he's doing this for the betterment of the game development industry. Sure, that what was it, that 15% or whatever, 11% in comparison to Valve's 30 when they were originally talking about this. Yeah, that was a good change. You could have even kept it at that, but then once you started buying exclusives and then strong arming indies into forcing them to be on Epic, or they're gonna, I don't know, get the assassins out or something like that, it's just like all the grandstanding is for nothing. It's just noise.
Unless he truly believes it, Rich.
I would have
I'm
done
sure
that.
to a degree he does, but he's just so like, I don't know. He's just so blinded by his crusade that he almost just doesn't realize what he's doing. But part of me thinks he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just being a mouthpiece for the company.
He's, in my opinion, too, this is all a bad look for them too.
Oh, yeah.
I've loved Epic and I still like them, but to me this is not a good look. And
yeah.
it's think of the millions of people, the millions of dollars and the millions of people that aren't going to be playing Fork Fight on iOS devices, all because, like, again, I get it. Like, Apple should have a better cut, that more money goes to the developers. We've beaten that topic to death, but like, you're literally making other people not enjoy your game, and you aren't making at least 70% of whatever they'd spend on it just because you have this little bit of this crusade.
Part of the part that's silly about this is I guarantee that this is not the only place that these people are playing the game. They're not just playing it on iOS. They're probably playing it PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, wherever else, they may have it. So it's a bit silly in that vein. But again, if you're pulling people, and I'm assuming it was a pretty penny based on the simplicity, if you're pulling that from, Apple, that's just a big chunk taken from them and back into your pocket. I mean, it's not like they're actually losing any money on it, because you're still paying the same $7.99 into the V-Bucks or something like that versus like the $10 through Apple. I mean, they're still getting probably the same amount. It's just it's upcharged. So
Yeah, but at the same time, what I think is just really shitty is that they took this as an opportunity to really screw over the people who were playing exclusively on iOS, to all the people who spent the V-Bucks, who bought the skins and all that, who really can't do anything with it because it's no longer on iOS and it's not getting updates anymore. I think you can still play it, but you can't get updates to it anymore. So as soon as they do a
probably
patch,
can't.
You probably can't play it.
There's a patch already that happened that you cannot play it, and I thought they removed it from the iOS store.
They did.
Yeah.
So
yep, it's gone.
But they
get it.
They didn't like remove it from people's devices.
Right. Yeah, if you had it installed,
you're fine.
You'll still have it, but I don't think you'll be able to play it just because you have an outdated version. It's going to tell you to patch it, but you won't be able to.
And I'm sure there's a way you could find out some pretty accurate numbers, but I'm willing to bet we'd all be surprised at the amount of people that, there's plenty of gamers out there that are going to play it on iOS, Android, Switch, Xbox, PC, right? But I bet we would be surprised if somebody had real numbers and they were released how many people only play it on one device.
I mean, there's possible you might be able to find it in the court docs.
Yeah. But I'll bet you it's larger than what we think it is. Just with maybe. How many parents and kids who do not have, probably more parents who just say, here's my phone, go play Fork Fight, leave me alone. But I bet, again, I have nothing to back it up. No research. Maybe it's in the court documents, but I'm willing to bet there's a larger number of people that play it on one device. And in this case, whatever that large portion of iOS users are, I'll bet it's bigger, and we'd all be surprised if we actually saw those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of a bummer for those people who were playing it, and I really dislike the idea of like manipulating your audience into fighting your legal battle.
That's what I hated about this whole free Fork Fight. 1980? What was it?
It was 1984 ad.
Yeah. Like
that was pretty gross.
That was. I hated that.
It came out way too quickly. It came out the next day?
It was planned. It was basically marketing.
It was
marketing for this targeted attack.
Yep. And I think that's what the judge said too, is that it was clear that this was like a targeted attack at Apple, and that's I think part of why she ruled against Epic in I think one or two of the charges, just because it definitely looked malicious, just because it was just so blatant that that's exactly what they were doing, is they were trying to rally up the troops and fight their legal battle for them. They had all the kids calling into the courtroom, screaming free Fortnite and all that. And it's just like,
my turn to put the tinfoil hat on.
That's gross.
My tinfoil hat's on now. That Tim Sweeney / Epic probably paid a lot of people to do that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Tinfoil hat off.
Either. It was probably a guerrilla marketing tactic to get people to join their side of the argument. It's honestly, I felt like it's a hit on Apple, and I think they're going to keep trying to do it. And I think it's going to either die on Epic's side, and they're probably going to die, or they will break down the giant one way or the other. I don't think this is the last of it. I don't think it's going to end in any niceties.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not the last of it. We still got to go through the appeal. Once the appeal happens, I mean, we'll see where that goes from there. But
Probably another appeal to the next court. But
yeah, but if I were
from
if I
appeals,
were
it goes to Supreme,
yeah,
local, and then federal.
yeah,
well, pushing it as far as as far as Tim Sweeney wants to push it. But if I were a betting man, I would say that Epic does not have a very strong case against this whole walled garden thing to push for more breakages in that walled garden. And that's something that's kind of been backed up by I've been watching a lot of Hogue Law's videos about this whole thing. He almost entirely predicted the entire outcome of this. And even he stated that the Epic doesn't have a very strong case against Apple. They really are just trying to force their way into the walled garden to get their rules. They want it to play, or they want Apple to play by their rules. And Epic, Apple is saying, no, we don't need you on our store.
yeah. I mean, for a company the size of Apple, it's not huge, but if you're taking away $350 million in revenue, that's still a big punch to their total year-to-year numbers.
What's the 350 from?
The money made off of Fork Fight recently.
Oh,
I think that was in a very short time.
Yeah, I'm sure Epic is going to be losing a ton of money from that too.
Well, I mean, slight math would be Epic would be losing what, roughly 700 some odd million themselves if Apple keeps 30% of the cut.
Yeah, but I think you have to look at how it's, and this is kind of where my thoughts were with the Apple thing is, yeah, it's the ecosystem keeps you there, but how many more people are addicted to Fortnite as well, right? Like you've got that huge base of people that's all they play, that's all they do, that's all they consistently do. They're going to move that money. I don't think Epic is going to lose much of it. I think it'll just shift into a different platform and a different way of paying it.
Depends on the age of the players.
Yeah, it's really possible. Because I don't see a lot of kids going out and buying an Android all of a sudden just to play Fortnite.
No, but that's not the only place you can play it, right? Like I had it on the Switch for a while. It's on the Xbox. It's on the PlayStation. So it's not like they're going to lose a lot. I think people are just going to shift where they play the game, and I don't think it's going to be a huge skin off of Epic's back personally. Versus it's just gone for Apple. I mean, they make so much money anyways, but at the same time, $400 million if you round up, that's quite a bit on a balance sheet. So
it's true, but they also have a lot of other apps that they can make money off of. This is not their.
The last quarter, they made $19 billion off of apps and services. So,
what was the highest?
That's a lot of money.
App.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be shocked if individual
probably
app is Fortnite.
PUBG Mobile now.
Yeah, it could be.
Call of Duty
Apple
Mobile.
That's actually would.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably the number one is actually Call of Duty Mobile.
Does Apex have?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think so.
They have an app.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's and you're going to be able to play Halo Infinite Battle Royale here too through xCloud soon. So.
Right. And likewise, I feel like kind of like what Mike was talking about with, Apple kind of having a ticking time bomb on its business model. Epic ain't looking so hot when it comes to Fortnite. There's a lot of competitors for the Battle Royale space, and it's getting less and less in Fortnite's favor. Warzone is huge now. Like Warzone is absolutely gargantuan
it's
now.
So crazy how that's still growing.
You're talking the file size, right?
Also
that too. Yeah. That too. I do think that at some point people are going to kind of get bored of Fortnite and move on to something else.
Agreed.
Maybe this is.
I haven't looked at numbers for Minecraft lately, but I remember that hit a big boom, and I think that was about when Microsoft bought it. And I think millions and millions of people still play, but I bet it's not as popular. I could be very wrong. Again, I have no numbers, nothing to base that off of. But
a quick Google. Fortnite has 3 times the players of Warzone, but the hours are different. There are more hours put into Warzone than Fortnite.
Apparently, TikTok is the dominant app in terms of revenue across both.
Oh, apps.
Apple
That's not
and
surprising
Play Store.
at all.
How does that make money?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't
It's-
TikTok, so I don't know. This is
Now,
my boomer moment.
is that for Apple making money on it, or is that for
the
app making the most money?
The only thing this article says is TikTok was the dominant app in terms of revenue across both the App Store and the Google Play Store in 2020 and the first half of 2021. I don't know anything beyond that. That is, I don't understand it, but okay.
I don't TikTok, so I don't know how it makes money.
Yeah, yeah. I'm exactly the same way. I don't have an account, so I don't know what people pay
We should
for.
start a Campfire gaming one. We got to figure out what you do on TikTok, and then we'll make it.
It's dances, right?
No, it's more than that, but
Mike's
mostly dancing.
got moves, right?
I had TikTok for a while and looked into getting us on there because honestly, it's one of the biggest growing platforms. Makes sense. We could take clips, throw it on there, especially gaming clips. There's a lot in that world for gaming clips. You guys want to talk any more about how both these companies suck, or are we good for the eve?
I think we're good. The only thing I'm doing now is just checking out to see what is the top grossing mobile game out there. For August, it looks like PUBG Mobile is on here. Fortnite doesn't even make the top 10. So if we're going
are you
off
going
of,
like forever back, or how far back are you?
For this year, revenue. Oh, this is for August 2021. So the overall revenue is PUBG Mobile, Honor of Kings, Genshin Impact, Fate, Grand Order, Pokemon Go, Garena Free Fire, Roblox, Candy Crush, Coin Master, and Uma Musume Pretty Derby. That's for overall revenue.
Sure.
And yeah, Fortnite didn't even make any of these lists for overall revenue, App Store revenue, or Google Play revenue.
So to that point, throw this back into the Apple lawsuit. Tencent owns PUBG Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
They also own several other mobile games that are large cash cows.
Mm-hmm.
Honor
The
of
top
Kings.
two.
Yeah. So if they decide we don't like how this all played out, and those are the next ones to go, that's another huge chunk of revenue taken, right? So one small brick can lead into these bigger things. I don't know how much they'd lose. It still wouldn't hurt the company, but this is kind of the route that I was going with it, is that there are other large chunks that they can now take away from that. And the more they take away, the user base is going to just get more upset, whether that's at Epic, possible, they die, or if it's at Apple. Never know. Like I said, I'm really interested to see what happens next. And it's not just the court side of things, right? $11 billion in revenue.
I also don't think Epic, just to clarify, by Epic you mean like Fork Fight, because Epic itself has too much invested in their engine, which is probably bringing in quite a bit of money too, since it's licensed out and very popular.
I think I would see them getting purchased. I think that they would start to dwindle to the point where they can't continue to upkeep things because their cash cow will die.
Maybe by a large other company that is a competitor to Apple. I don't know.
We'll
I
see.
don't know.
I wonder what company
And it's
can
come
do that.
for full circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What is 30% of 11 billion? Let's just pretend that that's only on Apple.
Would be what, 3.3 billion?
That's a lot of money.
3.333.
Well, I think that about does it for us here tonight. We rambled on for that last 30 minutes. check us out in all the usual places. CampfireGamingPodcast.com. You can get our links to everything there, our Instagram, our YouTube, our Discord. Come join us on a conversation. Join us for some gaming. And we'll see you next time around the campfire.